So hello everybody and welcome to this week's field notes from the ranch. It's a beautiful day here, the sun is shining. I love October because you get up and it's really chilly, but slowly the warmth comes in during the day and then it tails off at night. So yeah, it's a really lovely time of year. There's a stillness to this time of year that gives a real invitation. It's like nature's invitation to slow down and notice what's happening around us as the seasons change. It's asking us to notice the season, notice the change, and lean into that. And I think that is really important, and it sort of has this connection to what we have been talking about this week, which, like I say, we've been sitting with this idea of empathy. It is a word that gets used a lot, especially in our community. And sometimes I think it's used so much that it starts to lose its weight and it becomes a tagline. People think that if they throw the word empathy in there, it makes them empathetic, or it makes them understand what that means and what it means to our horses. When we talk about empathy, we often imagine it as something purely emotional. This open-hearted, all-feeling presence. And yes, that is part of it, of course. But empathy is also physical. It's biological. And it is how we connect through the nervous system with that addition of awareness, with that addition of shared space. And I always talk about horses being holistic creatures. We too are holistic creatures. We should not divide emotions, the mental, the physical, and the emotional. We should consider it as part of a whole, and understand that within the physicality, within that science, there is those emotions, there is that mental awareness. But again, within the emotions is also the science. So if we're approaching our relationships with horses from awareness of nature, because obviously that is where I'm going to be approaching most of the dialogues in the beginning stages. It's really what we're all doing here, right? Then we cannot ignore the fact that empathy isn't just a nice word. It's a function of connection that has evolved for survival, for safety, and communication. So I'd like to start there today. So what does empathy mean in the horse-human space? Well, when we say, I feel for my horse, it often comes from a good place. We care. We love them. We see their discomfort or fear or confusion, and we want to help. Of course we do. But here is where the line gets a little blurred. Feeling for our horses can easily turn into feeling as our horses. And when that happens, we lose our grounding. We absorb what they're feeling, we mirror it, and suddenly both nervous systems are spinning in the same loop. And that's not empathy anymore. That's fusion. True empathy is not about taking on. It's about staying present enough to sense with them without collapsing into their experience. And I guess that goes also for human to human. It's not just human to horse, although that, of course, is our priority here. So I often think about it like this. Empathy is when you can stand in your own body with awareness and reach toward the other with curiosity. It's not walking into their storm. It's standing nearby with an open heart saying, I'm here. And that's what our horses need from us. Someone steady enough to stay aware when they can't. Nature's model for empathy is really fascinating. And if you look at how empathy works in nature, it's not sentimental, it's functional. So think about how a herd moves. When one horse lifts their head, the others notice. Not because they're worried for, but because the signal of that first horse matters. It's information and it keeps them safe as a unit. And that's empathy at work. Biological awareness that allows the group to stay connected and regulated. It's communication through attention, through those subtle signs, and through resonance. Now, humans have that too. We are mammals and we share so much of our horse's biology. But unfortunately, we have an added layer of story over it. So we interpret empathy by comparing. We imagine. And it is a gift, but it's also a complication. Because our empathy runs through emotion and thought, and it can quickly get tangled. We might see our horse's fear and immediately feel guilty. I caused that, for example. Or we might see their hesitation and start projecting. They don't trust me. And that's not awareness anymore. That's ego stepping into empathy's space. So part of what we're learning in ReWild, and really what I'm still learning too, is how to bring empathy back to balance, how to let it be informed by biology, not just emotion. Empathy isn't just in the heart, it's in the body. And when we get that, when we get those two running parallel, hand in hand, we begin to understand our position and in space and our emotions in time. So empathy lives in our sensory system, in our vagus nerve, in the way our bodies mirror movement and emotion. So we talk about mirror neurons, we've talked about the vagus nerve, and there's many a book and paper written on both of that. And it is something that I speak of often because it's key to understand how we affect, how our emotions impact on the conversations and the relationships that we have. That mere moment of when we stand close to our horses and they release tension because we've released tension. It could be a sigh or a lick and a chew, all of the very common calming signals that they give out. And whether it is us managing that conversation and helping them, or them managing that conversation and helping us, because often when they relax, we relax. Either way, that is empathy. That is an empathetic dialogue that we're having. It's our systems communicating in that moment that we're safe here. But when we carry tension, emotional or physical, that message shifts. Our horses don't judge it, they just feel it. They respond to it. And they respond to what's true in our bodies. Not what we wish we were projecting, but what is actually being projected. And that's why self-empathy becomes so important. Because when we meet ourselves, I talk about meet your horse, meet the horse where they are at. But we need to look at ourselves with that same reflection also. Because when we meet ourselves, our fatigue, our fear, our guilt, even our impatience, our joy, our happiness, with understanding rather than judgment, we stop leaking that static into the space we share with our horses. So I know this is a part that most people struggle with, and I include myself in that group. Empathy for self can feel in the beginning somewhat selfish. And it is one of the parts that many of us struggle with. We are really quick to be gentle with our horses, but harsh with ourselves. We'll often say, it's okay, take your time, to our horses, but internally we are saying, you should be past this by now, as in we should be past this by now. And that split creates friction. So our horses might not know why we're holding tension, but they always feel that resistance. So empathy for self isn't indulgence, it's responsibility. It's what allows you to stay real and available. Not perfect, not pretending, but present. And if we want to build trust with our horses, it has to start there with us. If we can't trust ourselves to listen gently inward, how can we expect our horses to trust us outwardly? I was with a client recently, and they kept on saying, I just feel so much for him. I can't stand to see him anxious. They're talking about their horse. And she meant it. She truly meant it. You know, she loves her horse and was feeling it really, really badly for them. And their horse had been through a lot physically, trauma, past rough handling, very typical of that forceful method of bringing a horse on. But when she tried to comfort him, it ended up where she was matching their anxiety. You know, a tight body, shallow breath, sharp voice. And of course, the horse is mirroring that back. So we get into that loop of anxiety, horse, human, human, horse. So instead of focusing on his emotions, I asked her to start focusing on her own. And by learning to recognize when empathy was turning into identification, we could start breaking the cycle. So once she started learning to ground herself and feel more with him and not as him, the whole atmosphere changed. The calmness that became their place of rest was just phenomenal. And that is the paradox of empathy. The more clearly we stay in our own body, the safer others feel to stay in theirs. I think this is a really, really important topic, and one that really needs self-study as well as studying of others. So I would like to offer you a little practice. And if you're listening to this, as you're listening to this, you can try it now, or you can come back to it. You don't need a horse for this, though you can absolutely bring it into your time together later. That would be great. So take a breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And just let your shoulders drop a bit and feel a little bit more comfortable in your body. So now place one hand somewhere on your body that feels steady. So maybe your chest. And then the other hand on your belly. Of course, you can't see me because I'm sitting down. But I'm sure you know where your belly is. And close your eyes for a moment, if that feels okay and you're in a safe space. Obviously, if you're doing something like driving, don't do that. And ask yourself quietly, what am I feeling right now? And notice what comes up. It could be a word, it could be a sensation, or nothing at all. And there's no wrong or right answer. And instead of trying to fix it, whatever came up, simply respond with, I hear you. So, what am I feeling right now? I hear you. And that's self-empathy. You're acknowledging what's there without collapsing into it. You're offering the same understanding you would give your horse. Now, as you stay with that, notice your breath again. See if it has changed, even slightly. Because that is your nervous system beginning to regulate to find safety. And that's the biology of empathy at work. So when we do this for ourselves, we're also training our awareness, coaching our awareness, the same awareness that our horses depend on to feel safe with us. When empathy is balanced, when awareness and emotion meet, it creates safety in relationship. It allows communication to be honest without being heavy. Your horse doesn't need you to feel sorry for them. They need you to be with them. And the same is true in reverse. When we extend empathy inward, we give ourselves permission to stay honest, curious, and calm. We create the conditions for authentic presence, not because we've eliminated emotion, but because we're grounded enough to hold it. So as you go into your weekend and into next week, I would like to invite you to notice moments where empathy appears. Maybe your horse hesitates and you feel that tug of emotion. Just pause there and ask yourself, am I feeling for them or feeling with them? And when you notice something rising in yourself, tiredness, irritation, worry, whatever it can be, meet it with the same softness you would offer your horse, because that's the start of real empathy. This work of awareness, of learning to meet our own thoughts and feelings with clarity, is at the heart of what rewilding is all about. So I'm going to leave you with this thought. Empathy isn't about merging, it's about meeting another's truth while staying rooted in your own. And that is where connection lives. So thank you, as always, for listening and being part of this space. Take a deep breath. Thank yourself for showing up. And remember, awareness isn't something we find. It's something we return to. And I will see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.